Welcome to Status Check. My name is Grayson Orcutt. Thank you for joining me. Did you know more than half of the human body is made out of water? Abe Lincoln was the president during the war who implanted slavers. James Madison helped with the Constitution. William Harris had the shortest presidency, and I love spiders.
Good evening, everyone. For real this time, Nicholas J. Orcutt with the Status Check. Special thank you to my son, who wanted to give it a shot today and see how he would do with telling everybody about what's going on today. I think we all can benefit from a little bit of innocence every now and then, right? So, plus kind of a special thing. Yeah, he's excited. He got to meet all of you in a way, right? You guys got to meet him. He's him and my daughter are the reasons I do this. They're the reasons that this entire thing started. So I think it's super important that I highlight them and I make them part of everything. So thank you for that. What he was trying to say, because I actually have his notes that he had my wife write down for him. More than half the human body is made up of water. Abe Lincoln was the president who emancipated slaves. I don't think he can pronounce emancipated. James Madison helped with the Constitution. William Harrison had the shortest presidency. That is the things that we learn in my household. Whole lot of fun, right? The guy you wanted at parties. So after last night, I had an excellent live last night with Darby. It was a great show. I needed it. It's every now and then, I think I fall into the same trap that a lot of people do, especially with the way everything goes. So I spend a significant portion of my time looking into the news, seeing what's happening, seeing what's going on in the world. And it's hard to forget sometimes that we don't always have to be surrounded by the negative. Just because things are bleak doesn't mean that there's not hope. It's very, very important to find and hold on to the pieces of hope that we can. And I needed that. And thank you to all of you who joined me on that. Now, that being said, and this is where we'll take the hard turn, right? So I wanted to, I had that last night and I wasn't planning on doing anything today. And then today there was today I got the final ruling of everything that happened on it was the 21st, I believe. The election or the House voted on the 21st. But I got the actual transcript and I was able to go through everything. Pain in the ass to go through anything that has to do with the House talking and going. And I don't recommend anybody ever doing it. Not if you want to maintain your sanity. I'm trying to see my notes here. No, it was yesterday. It was the 22nd. Just wanted to give accuracy for that one. But so it felt like it was incredibly important with everything they did to give a frame for everybody. I think, as I discussed with Darby, I think that things get filtered through this lens of hopelessness and it ends up just destroying all of us, right? It ends up just taking that reason away to get up and keep going. And so I wanted to do my best to try to change that for everybody. Now I did a note. I'm not sure how many people saw. I kind of made a couple promises here that I'm going to have to stand by. and I think the first one that we need to address, the most important out of everything going on in this country, out of the ICE killings and mass protests and the corruption from the president, I think the most important thing right now for every American to know is that the never-ending pasta dish is back at Olive Garden. The never-ending pasta dish. And for $100 you can get 13 weeks of never-ending unlimited pasta. What's I saw this and I started laughing. So there's very rarely a time when I see something in the news that I'm just like, this is too ridiculous that I have to cover this. So yes, the never-ending pasta bowl is back at Olive Garden. They are now offering for $100, you go into Olive Garden and they give you an ID card. It's called the Pasta Pass. Um, I personally, I think I might have to go purchase a Pasta Pass just to have a Pasta Pass. I have a lot of Italian friends. I feel like I shouldn't be allowed in their home if I don't have a Pasta Pass. Um, if so when you go in now with this Pasta Pass, right? And I'm pretty sure it's just cardboard. When you go in, you show them, your Pasta Pass, but you actually have to show ID because they want to make sure that you're not pretending to be somebody who has a Pasta Pass. Um, I I love this. I love this. I love the fact that they anticipated people passing pasta passes to each other. I love the fact that they were so concerned about people handing each other their pasta pass that they had to add the ID requirement with it. Um, Actually, it's funny somebody just said, "Can you use the pasta pass to vote?" So, somebody is already right on top of where I'm going. So, Representative Brian Steil, representative out of Wisconsin. We are protecting our breadsticks more than our ballots. It was I I have a lot of issues. I have a lot of issues with the SAVE Act. Saying we are protecting our breadsticks more than our ballots is peak. That is, sir, take a walk down right into the front of the Senate and just take a bow. You have earned it. That is exceptionally well done. Uh, and of course, Newsmax gets involved with this because it's something that they can blame on liberals because apparently liberals are the only ones that like pasta. Um, but they're they're making it a whole point that Olive Garden takes their unlimited pasta dishes more seriously than Democrats take the election. Um, and it literally went back and forth today. And I stopped everything and I was just like, I can't believe this is real. I can't believe there are people having a debate on if Olive Garden is more suited for election protection than our government. Um, I will say the kill shot, Jim McGovern, representative from Massachusetts, and this was the kill shot. Voting is a constitutional right. It is not a lunch special. That is just a so say what you want about the Olive Garden and the birth certificates, having to bring your birth certificate to Olive Garden. The kill shot is voting is not a lunch special. God, well done, sir. Well done. Um, but I saw that and that genuinely made me happy today. That 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 was just one of those stories that made me happy. Um, and out of all places, Olive Garden. Oh, that being said, their food not so good. Their salad, oh, I could destroy that salad for oh, so good. Pepperoncinis, the extra pepperoncinis on it too. I'm weird. So like I do this thing where I take the pepperoni, I bite the top, and then I sprinkle the pepperoncini seeds on top of the salad, mix it all in. Um, I'm a strange person like that. So we'll move from me being strange with my pepperoncinis and my fixation on them. Let's talk about the armpit of America for a minute, New Jersey. I say this, and I don't know if there's anybody here from New Jersey. My family's from New Jersey. My family's from Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Those of you who don't know where that is, it's the part of New Jersey that if you're in it, you don't know you're in New Jersey. It's really nice. Take everything you've ever heard about New Jersey and then make it more Philly. It's how Cherry Hill is. But New Jersey being New Jersey they just announced, like, they were trying to do like a non-citizenship registry. When they did it, they had a program, like I don't know if it's a voting program. I don't know what the actual program's called. I'm sure I have it here somewhere. But they had this program to say that, you're not a citizen, and it was so everything would be, in effect, set up for these non-citizens. Despite the fact that multiple of these immigrants said we're not citizens, they clicked no. It was a box that clicked no. The system made them citizens, and it was 6,600 that were registered because of this. They clicked no to citizenship. This was a glitch in the system itself. Of those 6,600 that got incorrectly marked, 400 were able to vote. Now, it was caught almost immediately. Let's also be honest here. 400 people voting out of everybody in the state, it is, the under 400 votes is about 0.01% of the ballots in New Jersey. It doesn't mean that this is okay. But this also doesn't mean that having voter ID is going to help, because these people had IDs. This was what they were getting. And on their IDs, they said, I'm not a citizen. They were honest. And the system said, yeah, it's all right. Go ahead and vote. So my question is, there's so much outcry about people who they want to have the right to, they want to, restrict voting rights with, you have to have this or you have to have that. What happens when the system itself, when the actual system that takes the votes breaks? Are we going to cry foul? Because it's not right. It's not good. But it's not a left or right. It's the system. The computer program broke. Is the answer to go back to hand counted ballots? Do we really trust that? I'm old enough to remember the hanging Chad. I know a lot of people aren't. I remember the hanging Chad. And it's also, of those 400 people that voted, it's not like all of them voted left. In fact, it was like, I think it was a 20% left, or like 40% left, 40% right. Then the rest were independent. So the reason I found this out is because, Trump's trying to weaponize this already. Trump's trying to say, this is proof of his claim that there's widespread voter fraud. His inability to accept being a loser in 2020. This is proof of that. Except it's not. This is proof of the fact that the system actually works. This is proof of the fact that when there is a problem in our voting system, it works. It does what it's supposed to do. For all other things that you could feel about the system, you could hate the way things are done. You could hate the way things are designed. You can hate the way the systems are set up. They work for what they're trying to do. This is proof of that. So you can't, getting mad at the system for working this way is insane to me. It is insane. And it's worth knowing that, they went after the vendor, the MVC, the DMV MVC or whatever it was, vendor itself. It took them a year to fix everything, but they fixed everything because they knew about it right away. That's what would happen if there was voter fraud like Trump claims there was. Um, I know half of the claim is, "Oh, the dead people are voting," and stuff like that. The only times that that's happened in our recent history, it happened, I wanna say it was 3 times in Florida and once in Texas, and oddly enough, all 4 of the dead people voted for Trump. Um, it says, when you look at the base of who's going to be doing something like that, it's unanimously the MAGA base, right? The MAGA base are the ones that don't wanna lose. They're the ones that refuse to lose. Um, and it's still one of my the fact that we are what we it is 2026, so it's 6 years after the election, and, regardless of what you think about the last election, Trump won it. Um, I'm not saying he legally won it. I've put my articles out there where I have a lot of questions about a lot of different things, but at the end of the day, he's president, and that's that, right? Um, I not a fan of it, hurts to say, but that's that. I don't understand why we are still even just entertaining this. Why? Why? Why would we entertain this? Who thought this was a good idea? Like, I I could go on all day. I genuinely I could go on all day about what happens when you just I can I have a huge problem. We're gonna go off on a tangent here. Um, I have a serious, serious problem with not that there are people that won't accept reality. I have a serious problem with I have a serious problem with people who and it's powerful people. I always call them Mr. Burnses, right? Because it's people like Montgomery Burns from Simpsons. They surround themselves with yes men, and I get it. I as somebody who I do this right. I put myself out in front of everybody. I know what it's like to have those lingering doubts and questions in the back of your head. Um, you know, I am my hardest critic about stuff. You know, I think we are all that way. We are all our hardest critic. And you know what? It would be amazing for me to be surrounded by people who are like patting me on the back and telling me that, everything I do is good and right. And, I walk on water and I turn, water to wine. I would, I would love that, but it wouldn't do me any good. And we have somehow normalized it with certain people. And it's the worst it is with Trump, but he is not the only person that we have this problem with. I look at the leadership that's in both sides of the political parties. Schumer has nothing but yes people who tell him that everything he's doing is right. I'm a New Yorker. Schumer's supposed to represent me. This man is so far off base from anything that a New Yorker wants or needs. It's insane. Like he is on paper my senator. He's not my senator. He doesn't represent a single one of my interests. It's I don't even know if he knows where any of the state is. And that's he's been in DC long enough. I don't even know if he knows how to get back to New York. You know? Look at Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell is surrounded by so many yes men that they're literally wearing him like a suit to keep him alive. That is insane. We just have a system of rich men who surround themselves with yes men, and then for some reason, we agree to let them do it. And Th that's what's going on right now with all the election fraud, all of that bullshit with Trump. That's it's less about it's less about election integrity, it's less about any of that, and it's about making one man feel better, and that is just ridiculous. That is ridiculous. I have always said, I say to my loved ones, I say to my friends and family, "If I'm being an asshole, call me an asshole. I'm okay with it. Might hurt my feelings, but if I'm being an asshole, I need to be held account. If I'm doing something wrong, I need to be held accountable for it. By not holding me accountable for those things, then what I'm not gonna learn, I'm not gonna get better, I'm not gonna see that anything I did was wrong. Um, so sorry, that's just a personal tangent of the day. Um, I did the last thing I really wanted to talk about though, and this is what so we're gonna I know I said sorry for the last tangent. This one's gonna be kind of another one here. When I go through transcripts, I literally will sit on my computer and sometimes I'll take them and I'll actually like put the entire file into like Microsoft Word and I'll be like, all right, read it to me. And it can read me the transcripts. Um, More often than not, though, that doesn't work well enough for me to actually like be able to absorb it. Um, Usually it's just weird pauses and, mispronounced words and it doesn't work for me. I try. I give it a real effort, but it ends up with me just sitting there scrolling, going through all the transcripts. And yes, I do it all like either on my computer or I do it on my phone. Um, my everything I have, my computer, if I was to show you it right now, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12 open tabs. And then on top of all of that, my phone is nothing but complete notes right now. Everything's notes, 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 notes. Um, so I saw the reports that the House had effectively voted for the SAVE Act, and that it was going to go through to Congress. And so I was like, this is really concerning, right? I've spoken a lot about the SAVE Act. I've spoken about how it disenfranchises women, it disenfranchises the poor, makes voting harder for people just to be harder for people. It's very clear about where all of the end game is for it. Um, so when I heard that, I had to go, what did they really do? Because when I had looked, it was a reconciliation bill that was passed, and the courts had already said that you can't put the SAVE Act in a reconciliation bill. They'd already ruled that down, and so, and this is where a lot of our this is where a lot of the left wing people, the left wing pundits, and the left wing talking heads, this is where I don't want to say jump the gun, but they are stoking the fires of fear for people because they're the ones that I've been watching that will say, oh, the SAFE Act got through and they're doing this and they're doing that. And so I looked at it and what actually got through is they made a plan to make a plan. That's it. There is a plan to eventually make a plan. Um, it's a budget resolution. It doesn't have to go to Trump. And all it does is authorize the House administration to draft something with a $10 billion budget. There's nothing written. Like it's to unlock the process to write it, but it hasn't been written. So I'm seeing all of these pundits and all of these talking heads that are freaking out. And I mean, like, you would think that we all need to go arm up and put on vests and go sit on our, roofs because they're like, the SAFE Act's coming and they're stealing our votes and this is proof and blah, blah, blah. Relax. If there is one thing that doing this has taught me, our elected officials are useless. They didn't pass shit. So just relax. There is it's a budget resolution to make a resolution. There's nothing certain in it. There's nothing that is taking your right away to vote right now. There's nothing that's going to steal your ability to vote. They're not coming for it. They did not pass it. They did talk. There's a lot of talk about, we're going to offer grants to states that will abide by the things we want. But most of these grants that they're saying are going to go to the states that we're already going to get them. Florida's going to get like 3 of these grants because they don't like anybody that's not white, pseudo Christian male. This is, if it was time to ring the alarm bell, I would tell you. I promise you. If I saw something that I said this was the end of, this is the moment, grab your pitchforks, this is it, I would tell you. I promise you I would tell you. I would not let that happen. What I can also promise you, though, I won't tell you to get riled up for a reason that you don't need to be. There are a lot of things that are going on that they're trying to pass. There's a lot of laws and a lot of presidential memos that are scary. ICE is doing some scary things. Stephen Miller is doing some really, really scary things. This is not one of those. All right? So, despite what you might hear, the Young Turks or whatever it is you may get your media from, I hope it's not Jake Tapper. On a side tangent once again, I have Blue Sky. I have Twitter too. I don't ever use it, and I know it's called X. It's Twitter. I have Blue Sky that I check, once every 2-3 weeks. I should be more active on it. I like most of the people. I like the platform. I like the vibe of it. But I got it, and one of the first people that asked if I wanted to follow was Jake Tapper. I was like, sure. And so I spent probably a good 2 weeks trolling Jake Tapper on Blue Sky, and I think that's all I did. It was petty, and it made me feel really good. It made me feel really good. But that is a whole another topic for another day. Maybe someday I'll get all those together because they were pretty funny. Not to toot my own horn. It was one of my better times spent. But no, this is not one of those times to be worried. There are things that will happen that will be scary. There are significant changes to democracy coming. This is not one of them. This is one of those times that it's okay to let the guard down a little bit. You don't always need to be at a 10. All right. And I know it's a Trump administration, and I know right now I could say it's fine to let the guard down, and Trump could be sending out a truth or tweet, or I don't know what you call it, individual truthy. He could be saying that we're going to nuke Iran or we're going to nuke California or whatever he wants to do because he does stupid shit. So I acknowledge, yes. I'm telling you, you don't need to be at a 10 right now. Be at an 8, be at a 7. It's okay though. It's okay. I promise you. I did an article today about sex styles because it's okay. It doesn't always need to be at a 10, all right? That was my reasoning for going on tonight with everybody. I hope that, for my son, I want to thank you all. For me, I want to thank you all. As always, I have loved being able to come and speak with all of you and share information with all of you. It's important, and this is a perfect example of why it's important to stay informed. This is a perfect example of why knowing what's coming and knowing what's happening matters, and knowing your sources matter. So with that, I want to wish everybody a good night. And as always, stay loud, stay informed, stay dangerous. Have a good night.